Hello and welcome to Talking Tent, a podcast about movies, TV, and all the content we can possibly consume.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Irma.
We are a married couple whose shared love of movies and TV cannot be contained, so we've decided to share our thoughts, opinions, cheers, and occasional jeers with the world. Welcome to part 2 of this week's episode. There's simply too much content to jam into one podcast, so we are splitting it up into 2. And in this one, we'll be talking about the 2 big new releases over the last 2 weeks in The Little Mermaid and Fast X. And we are going to start with a family affair. The Little Mermaid. Irma, was The Little Mermaid remake good?
Yes, I could objectively say it was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
I thought it was very good.
I know you did.
Yeah, I gave it an excellent after we left. And I'm trying to parse why. Because I've also been consuming, since you were a little bit more lukewarm on it, I've been consuming some very unfavorable reviews just to see what people were saying.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, like the zeitgeist, Rotten Tomato scores in general, solid reviews. Like 70 on Rotten Tomatoes, 70s. But then I looked up just because I wanted to see what people were saying. And the people that don't like it really, really don't like it. I know you're not one of those people.
Yeah. I mean, Halle Bailey, should be said, was amazing. She was definitely the best part of the movie. I love Sebastian. Everything else was okay. I'm not going to lie. Like, I definitely really enjoyed it. It was pretty close to the original. I mean, they added a little bit here and there. I think they added a whole extra half hour. So yeah, not too much has changed, but enough. And I don't know. I just like the CGI just like looked a little funky to me at points. I know you thought it looked really good, but I don't know. I just thought see, the thing is with these live action remakes, is that they focus way too much, in my opinion, on trying to make it look realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this freaking fish is not going to be talking. You know what I mean? So I don't really think it needs to look so realistic. And like the underwater, it was just like, I felt like the colors underwater were just so muted. It wasn't as whimsical as I would have liked. Yeah, I don't know. There were just like some things. I was just like, this is a kid's movie. Let's liveline it up a little bit. I think that's like my biggest thing.
Yeah, totally understand. I think I just went in with maybe different expectations. And also, I think it has to be said, because I've been thinking about why I liked it so much. When we saw Beauty and the Beast, I think the easiest comparison of the live action remakes is Beauty and the Beast. There's similar stories. It wasn't like, so Lion King just went, we're just in an African safari. There are no humans. Everything looks hyper real. So whatever there was no actors, it wasn't like, all right, Emma Watson versus Halle Bailey. There was none of that. It was like, did Beyonce do well? Yes, of course. So my expectations are that like, these aren't great. They are recreations of movies we know and love. It's like they're not revolutionizing anything. We know the story. And I think what I liked about this one is maybe I kind of forgot the story a little bit.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, which like Beauty and the Beast, we had watched the original not that long. We own it. I had seen it. Yeah, I bought you the Blu-ray a while ago. I don't know where it is because who has Blu-rays anymore? Yeah. I think it might be in that box. But so like when I was watching Beauty and the Beast in the theater, I remember thinking, wow, this is fun. These songs are good. Like the opening song is one of my favorites. But then like I just knew every single beat. So it kind of gets boring. I guess The Little Mermaid, I kind of forgot between like I know how it ended and I kind of know how it started, but I didn't really remember all the different things.
Yeah.
So maybe I was just a little bit more into the story because I wasn't just waiting for the next song, which is...
Well, there's really not that many songs, which I guess I didn't remember. Halle Bailey only gets one song,
Yeah.
which is like the famous, what is it? Part of Your World. Yeah, and she killed it. I mean, the theater gave applause.
Yeah,
It was
huge.
amazing. Yeah. But like that's literally the only song she has because she's mute for most of the movie.
Yeah. So that's kind of my caveat of maybe I liked it more than the others because I've kind of forgot some of the story.
Yeah.
But now if we get into the meat and potatoes, first and foremost, as you said, Halle Bailey, superstar.
Yeah.
Fantastic job. Like when she did Part of Your World, I got chills.
Yeah.
And then I was watching the other people around us, like the girls right in front of us were like, they were like cheering, like they were like rooting for her to do a good job because there was so much pressure, I feel like, on this situation. And like I would just watch them be like, yeah, they were fist pumping. And then everybody erupted into applause. It was actually, I thought maybe we were going to applaud after all the songs, like in a music, like a Broadway musical. And then nobody else did for the rest of them.
Why did you start?
I did a little clap after like the Under the Sea.
Under the Sea.
But yeah, Halle Bailey was fantastic. Even like she was better than I thought. She was a better singer.
She was amazing
than I thought. Like even when me and Irma were talking about it, we had listened to Chloe and Halle as a band. And normally, because Chloe's voice is so verbose and deep and thick, that like Halle does most of the falsetto. She'll do the high parts. She'll do the harmonies, but she's very rarely the lead in their songs together. And so I didn't think she could. I knew she was a great singer, but not like this. Like she went deep. She did all these little tricks and additions to the normal song. I think unequivocally, Part of Your World, this one is better than the original.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's a classic.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely, she killed it. She did a great job.
And then even when she wasn't speaking, I thought like she was so charming in just her looks and her glances.
I kind of disagree actually with that. I felt like she was like, just like smiling and like nodding. And it was just kind of like, no, you kind of got to give a little more.
Well, she was happy.
Like, I know, but I don't know.
Trying to express like pure joy.
Yeah.
Without being able to speak. She was mesmerized by this situation. She had.
I'm not knocking her by any means. Like, I think she did a great job, but I think I just wanted.
I wanted her to speak, but that's the
well,
that's
no,
the story.
I think it was like more, like of the story. Like I wanted her to like kind of try and communicate with him a little more, but she like wasn't really doing that. She was just like demure and just like proper. I don't know.
I fully disagree. They had the things that they added were giving her more agency and Eric a lot more space. So like they gave Eric a real story other than just being a handsome guy.
Yeah.
And then like they learned together in his room. Like she was showing interest in his stuff. They had similar interests. She got him to say her name without speaking. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's not her just being demure. Okay. That's her like showing her intelligence without speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought she did a fantastic job. My biggest knock is that they definitely should have given her more songs.
Yes.
So that
they did try. They added a song.
That can lead us into the new songs that Lin-Manuel Miranda created. Because it turns out there's really not that many songs in Little Mermaid.
No, there's really not. I mean, this is, I think, was like, so the Little Mermaid is the start of when Disney, I guess, essentially got its groove back. So I think this came out in what, 1980? 89. So then this, like, it was like this, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, eventually, you know, so this was the start. And so I guess like back then they just didn't realize how many songs they probably needed.
Yeah.
You know,
or maybe it was kind of like even today, or let's say 10 years ago. So they obviously had the early movies that had a bunch of songs. Actually, they didn't even really. How many songs does Snow White have? But yeah, I guess they were just hesitant to go the full Lion King that has like 12 bangers, 10 bangers. So they added songs. I thought Halle's song was very good. Eric's song was good enough. I thought it worked. And then the scuttlebutt was like fine.
It was weird.
Yeah. It didn't fit what was happening in the story. It was too lighthearted for what was happening. It reminded me of like the Morning Report from Lion King, which I imagine was kind of his inspiration. But then it was like so obviously Lin-Manuel, where the other songs weren't. The other songs sounded Little Mermaid. And this song sounds like, all right, you had to get the rap in. And it probably could have been better, or just take it out and have Halle do another song.
Yeah.
Like just give her more space, because I liked the movie, as I keep saying, but the best parts by far were when she was singing. So like, give us more of that.
But she only sang once.
Twice.
But
and twice, a bunch of reprises.
Well, I know a lot of reprises, but the second song, she's not actually singing.
Well, they showed her singing it a little bit.
So another thing that I definitely just need to like point out is when they're all underwater, like the mermaids, King Triton, played by Javier Bardem, they all looked great. So of course that's all CGI. I would say like Halle Bailey's tail was stunning. It was like super iridescent, and I couldn't stop staring at it. I'm like, this is so pretty. Javier Bardem, I thought looked like even a little silly underwater. I mean, he's kind of like all decked out in the shells and the crown. But then at one part at the end of the movie, he has to come above water. And I think when they do that, like obviously like that's all practical. Like he's wearing an actual costume. It's not CGI. And it just looked absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. And also I was a little like disappointed with like the castle underground. I don't even really remember seeing it. Like I know
there was no castle.
There was no castle, right? It was all just like I was just like disappointed, honestly, with a lot of the underwater things. And like the Under the Sea song, like I think they just used like actual underwater animals. So there was like starfish and like sea snakes. There weren't like the fish,
turtles.
Like they had the turtles, but not like how they had it in the cartoon. Like they used them as drums. Like it wasn't as like fun and whimsical as that. And I don't know. I think I was just like disappointed by that, because I just expected it to be more like the cartoon, which I know they were trying to update it. But
so the CGI was, I think, the biggest concern going in. Like obviously could absolutely tank it if it looked like the CGI we'll get to in Fast X with the agency. It would have been awful. So when they first go underwater, I think it looked good. Did it look as good as Avatar? No way. Not even close.
Well, how did they film this? Did they go underwater?
I don't think so. I think it's all fake. I actually wanted to watch some vignettes, but I saw one thing of like Halle in a like a harness that was holding her in the air, like around her waist.
I see.
And then like her hair was bald, so that they could fake it. But I
because like even like some of the like her swimming like was a little awkward to me. I mean, she was definitely trying her best, but just like it just felt off.
Yeah, so I thought it looked good enough. I know what you're saying. They could have gone whimsy, and there was a decision made to make it as realistic as possible and add mermaids. So the only thing that didn't look like underwater were the mermaids. Well, like the real world underwater were the mermaids. They definitely could have added. I mean, they had plant life. They had stuff. I guess they could have just had more, and you wanted it to be like glowing.
I just wanted it to be more vibrant, I think.
And then obviously they made the choice to make Flounder and Sebastian and Scuttle real, like the Lion King did. So not like what Beauty and the Beast did, but then Beauty and the Beast were people turning into clocks or, household items, whereas Flounder is just a fish that can speak.
Yeah, and Flounder wasn't even in it that much. I mean, I guess maybe he's not in that much of the original.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Flounder was definitely odd because it was a very flat fish. And then even and then we're used to looking at things head on, like with faces. That's why in the cartoon, they blow out his cheeks and make him like this cute wide thing. And even in Nemo, like the clownfish that they make has basically a flat face so that it's human. And this one, it's a fish and it speaks a little, it's weird. Sebastian still worked though.
Yeah, I think Sebastian was great.
Like,
to be
even though it
honest.
looked like a crab and
Yeah.
it didn't emote like in the movie, the original,
Yeah.
everybody was cracking up.
Yeah.
Like, it's still, the jokes still
Sebastian
landed.
was very funny.
So yeah, that looked weird. But yeah, so Under the Sea, underwhelming.
Yeah, I was disappointed by Under the Sea.
Whereas again, compared to Beauty and the Beast, the Be Our Guest scene was just as amazing, if not more amazing, because it looked real. It was like, oh my God, real plates.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, like they didn't have, the fish playing the flute. Like they didn't have the animals playing anything. It was just showing animals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like there was no way for them to do it unless they just decided that this was not going to be a realistic looking thing. But they made this decision, know, it had to go one way or the other. And then so another addition, a change to the original was what I had already mentioned. They flesh out Eric a lot more. They show that early in his, like before meeting Ariel, he's already curious about other worlds. He already feels a little boxed in by the island that they're on and like it seems like it's like an isolated island, and he wants to see more of the world, which is exactly what Ariel says also. So they already give them a connection, which was not in the original. It's just like, that's a handsome dude. I'm a hot mermaid. We have to kiss. Like, all right. But like they gave them a real actual thing to bond over.
Yeah.
And then so that made, when they were learning in the room together and she was pointing at stuff and learning, like it made you actually rooting for their relationship much more than just your like classic, like, all right, prince needs to meet princess and fall in love.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
The kiss the girl
yeah.
scene just felt like so much more actually romantic. A, because it was real people and not cartoons. But like also because they had built up that they're real people and had interest, and you could see them falling in love. But then also with Eric, they changed the setting to not just be, I guess it's like England in the original,
really
or just
say.
like it's just like the North Sea. It seems like a north, but they move it to the Caribbean, which makes a lot more sense. It's an island in the Caribbean. They don't specify, of course, because it's fake. And I thought that was just much more fitting.
Yeah.
And then I know what you really liked was that they had the sisters be representative of the 7 seas. And then they actually did that with the casting, which again is very nice for Disney to continue the inclusion that they've been doing, especially with making Ariel black and then having the rest of the sisters be the different ethnicities from the world.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
And then the only thing, like they probably could have given the sisters a little more time.
That's true. Well, because I think like in the cartoon, they actually have a song, I think. And they took that out.
Yeah,
and I was actually kind of disappointed by that. I was expecting like them to have a big party. And they didn't do that. So yeah, that would have been nice to have them all. 2 people from Bridgerton are in this, which I loved. Prince Eric was one of them.
Yeah, and then one of the sisters is from Bridgerton too, right?
Yeah.
So I think again, Irma said it's actually, I think, at least 40 minutes longer.
Oh,
because I think runtime wise, it's actually 50 minutes longer, but credits and all that, there's way more credits in this one. So like, let's say it's 40 minutes longer than the original. I think the Eric stuff, giving him way more time, and then more time at his castle and with the mom and all that. And then I imagine the action sequences, if you were to line up like the boat thing in the beginning in this, is much longer than the cartoon, just because it's like way fleshed out and way more fire. And
no, they do that.
Yeah, but I'm no claim, don't know, but I bet like the cartoon probably goes pretty quick. Like how long are you showing? I don't know.
A while. I mean, she does go up to the boat and pet the dog, like in the, I don't know. They're there, yeah. But then I think the last thing we definitely need to talk about is Ursula. And I actually thought Melissa McCarthy did a really good job as Ursula. Like her song was so great. I've always loved that song. She did look a little clowny with the makeup. I don't think they needed to go that crazy with it, but I mean, I guess it is kind of true to the cartoon version of it, where she is hiding, I guess, wherever like her home is really cool looking. Really liked that. And like the use of like her like seeing eye. But then of course, the part when she grows to like 50 feet, 100 feet
Yeah.
looked ridiculous, of
Yeah.
course.
And I didn't remember this from the cartoon. So I asked Irma, I was like, did that happen as they should? And she said, yes. So in that case, I just thought since it was real people. And then they were making things a little more realistic already. Well, a lot more realistic already. I feel like they opened the door because I thought it looked stupid.
It looked so bad.
Like having her be that big, it just looked too like in a cartoon. Sure, it's a cartoon, but like when it's actually Melissa McCarthy and it's like this giant black octopus body, it just looked stupid and it really takes you out of it. I think they could have switched it. They had already referenced that it is this underwater kingdom that's controlling the waves, like a mythical power. They never confirm or deny that until then. So that's them confirming. It's like, when Ursula or Triton get mad, they make these storms. It's like possibly. So they could have just had her still in her lair, controlling the waves, lashing about, like doing magic stuff without her just being this giant thing out of the water. But then I guess they wouldn't have been able to stab her in the stomach, like which also happens in the real world.
Yes, but Eric kills her.
Right, so more Ariel agency, right?
Yeah.
Ariel
and this time it's Ariel.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree. That part looked bad. I don't know. They could have done it a different way, but maybe not.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky. A lot of these things, they make decisions to make it realistic. They make decisions to recreate these movies.
They just want more money.
Get that money.
Yeah. They're just like, hey, we already have this IP. Let's just remake it.
Yeah. 35 years later.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
That's like if they recreated this again in 2060.
I mean, I hope they
like,
wouldn't.
All right. It would be a brand new star.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. We had fun. Sure. It was
Halle
good.
Bailey.
Yeah. Halle Bailey was definitely the breakout. And Daveed Diggs was also very good.
He was good.
As Sebastian.
And now onto a whole different type of family affair. Fast X. Irma. Was Fast X good?
Okay. That's a loaded question. I feel like I just love these movies. I've been watching them for what feels like most of my life now. I will definitely go to the theater and watch these movies until I'm old and gray and Vin Diesel's like 150. I don't know. I'll be the old lady riding in a scooter who uses Nas to propel myself forward and racing old ladies for their pink slips. I don't know. To me, these people are like my superheroes. I know that sounds so cheesy, but like no one ever really dies. They have superhuman strength. Tom is like a genius, like knows like physics and all that shit. And I don't know. I definitely don't take these movies seriously at all. I definitely grade these on a curve. I had so much fun watching this. I feel like I kept punching your arm every time like someone showed up on screen or they did something really cool. But if you're going to ask me, is this movie good? I have to objectively say no. But I had fun. I had so much fun and I don't really care.
Yeah, I had fun. I wasn't bored at any point, which is big. So like, yeah, is it cheesy and not
unbelievably cheesy?
So well acted. Yes. But I find better than boring, which you could say about a lot of these action franchise movies. And so the first one came out in 2001. So 22, more than half of our lives.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We were what, like 14?
Yeah.
So these movies came out way before the MCU took over. So they kind of are our superheroes.
Well, but when these movies started, they were drag racing and doing like simple heists. And I kind of honestly, I miss that. And I kind of want them to go back to that a little bit. I feel like they've just gotten into the habit of trying to one up the past movie, which has gotten a bit like CGI crazy. And I feel like it definitely never used to be like that. The driving is honestly what I come to these movies for, and the cool stunts, the actual story and the acting. I'm just getting so annoyed by the whole family. I don't know. I just feel like it's just too earnest. And it just, it gets like annoying. And they keep trying to make it like wholesome, but like also killing a ton of people. It just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. I had fun. Most of the action sequences are still good.
Yeah. Well,
from good to really good.
But they recycled a couple of the stunts.
Right. So the showing 10 minutes of Fast 5 was a interesting choice and kind of showed you right away that they just didn't have it. Like they didn't. Usually it opens with like a crazy awesome sequence. So like, for example, when they dropped the cars out of the plane, I think it was Fast 7. And then like they get on the truck and then they're stealing the truck and then Paul Walker's on the truck and the truck is flying off the cliff and he has to run over the truck and Letty fishtails the spoiler out over the cliff and he grabs the back of it just before dying. Like that's how they opened Fast 7. And this movie, they just redid Fast 5 with Momoa in certain spots.
Yeah. Momoa with his like menacing iPad.
Yeah. That we could get to also. But the Rome, the first big action sequence that isn't just a recreation / add-on was the Rome scene where Momoa has the ball in the back of a truck.
A bomb, yeah.
Yeah, the bomb ball for some reason. And then it just starts rolling and Dom has to control it with the car. And I thought it was really cool. Like it
was. And I think that was kind of reminiscent of 5 with the safe going down the street.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what they like. It was like a little bit of an homage to it. I'm sorry.
Italian Job also just like driving through the streets in these little areas. There's just something about the car stunts and the car racing that is just so much more visceral.
Yeah.
Than, for example, several episodes ago, we talked about Ant-Man and the action just feeling so boring.
Yeah.
Because like, they're punching and fighting. They're flying all over the place, but there's no there. There's no ground. There's like nothing there. So at least with these action sequences, they're doing like crazy turns and squeals and the wheels are spinning. And like some of it is a lot of it is practical. It just looks.
But do you think they were actually in Rome? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think parts.
I don't think any of the actors ever were in Rome or ever together.
No, they definitely weren't together.
It was definitely some drone shots, maybe like in Brazil, but they definitely weren't in Brazil.
Yeah, that one definitely not. Rome, they did a lot.
I don't think they were
all
there.
Over the place. Yeah, well, I mean, some cars were definitely there.
The cars,
so the crew was there,
but not them. They weren't there.
I bet no. I think Vin is always there.
You think so?
Yeah. He's like, what else is he doing?
That's true. He's a bit too controlling of these. That's another point I have to say. Is that I think so I forget who the writer-director was originally, but I think
Justin Lin.
Yeah, so he, I guess, didn't get along with Vin Diesel, and so he got him kicked off, and so then they rewrote the script, and I just think Vin Diesel needs to kind of back off a little. I just feel like I keep hearing these stories about Vin Diesel not getting along with The Rock, and so now The Rock's not really a part of this. It's just kind of Vin, you gotta let these people do their thing because it's getting not great.
Yeah, and also, so just full spoilers if we hadn't said, because I think we'll eventually get to some big ones.
Full spoilers.
Also, the highway scene was cool when they were chasing him. The agency was chasing him.
Yeah.
I think the two coolest things that they had in the movie were both in the trailer.
That's true.
Which is frustrating, and why I always say I don't watch the trailers, and I don't get why people need to watch the trailers.
Get excited.
Yeah, but you can just show Fast X and Vin,
yeah,
and the same amount of people are gonna go.
Yeah, I think so. Two of my favorite stunts, I think, were honestly both in Italy. The first one was when Tyrese and Ludacris are in the cars. Or no, it wasn't. It was Tyrese and oh my god, who plays the other guy? Han. Yeah. It was Tyrese and Han are like using their cars to like stop the truck from falling
that
off
was
the
fun.
edge. And so like they're braking like crazy. I thought that was actually kind of cool. And the other one was just like a little stunt where like Lottie is on her motorbike and then Momoa drops a lamppost or something. And so she has to like slow down, but then like kind of jump over it with the motorbike. And it was such a small stunt, but it was like really cool.
Yeah, cool little bunny hop.
Yeah. Even though like obviously it's not Lottie. Letty, sorry.
Lottie. Different part one.
I know. I keep doing that. Yellow Jackets.
So when he crashes the helicopters and when he drives down a dam, were basically the two huge set pieces that, again, they showed in the trailer. But I just didn't. What was cool about, let's say, 7, 8, and 9, so not even including the better ones, although 7 is great. But like they felt like they were innovating and, like you said, one-upping each sequence, and this did not feel like it was one-upping anything.
No, it definitely recycled stunts.
Yeah.
Like Dom drove or backed out of a plane. He's already done that. And then with Benny, his son, jumping from one car to another. Benny, his son.
His name's Brian for Brian. Lil B.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was Benny.
They named him Brian for Brian.
But isn't that weird for his uncle who's still alive?
Yes. That's also weird.
Okay, so Little B. When Little B
Maybe that's why they call him Little B more, because people are like, wait, but in the story, Brian's not dead.
Yeah. Jumps from one car to another, and like Lottie did that. Yeah, Letty did that. I keep doing Lottie. Letty did that. And I forget which one it was, you know? So it's like that's already been done. I mean, it was definitely cool. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool, but I don't know.
The 7 had the landing on the highway, Brian grabbing the fishtailing spoiler, the jumping between the buildings in
oh my gosh.
Even like I think I forget if it was 8 or 9, but when they did the magnets, like all that cool, like it was just sucking cars back and forth. Like that was really cool. And this one just had like, I don't know, like nothing new.
Nothing new.
Which is, I mean, I get it. How many ideas? This is the 10th movie. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What I do think,
like, it doesn't need to go crazy. Like, we don't need them to jump through buildings.
At this point, we do.
Sure.
Because they've already gone. So what are they going to start? Like, when they went back to just street racing, everybody laughed. So they can't do that. Like, they've gone too far.
Yeah.
Every movie, they go back to be like, okay, you want to race? And everyone just goes, well, we're way past that. Like, this is silly.
Yeah,
that guy literally just killed thousands of people. And now you're just like drag racing.
I know.
And he killed people in that. They did twist it, which I liked.
Yes. I do just miss like the heist aspect of these movies.
True.
Like, I feel like now they're like secret agents. Like, why? Why do they need to be secret agents? Like, I don't know. Like, can't they just still be kind of bad guys in a way? Like, why do they have to be the good guys?
Yeah. That's due. We're kind of just freewheeling all of our ideas. What I think should be celebrated is Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah,
he was so over the top. I
thought you didn't like him,
like as an actor.
No, in this role.
No, I did. He was a highlight.
He was the best part of this movie,
funny.
For sure.
He went full Joker without it being menacing, which maybe that's the problem. He was just like having so much fun.
He was.
And I thought he did a really good job. I thought near the end, as it climaxed, he could have maybe stopped being so giggly and gotten more menacing so you were actually scared of him. Even though the things he was doing were terrible, he wasn't scary, but we actually never got to a climax because the movie never ended.
Yeah.
So maybe in part 2, he will get a little more serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. He was great. I just loved, he's a bit like flamboyant. Yeah. He was just very funny, very, I guess, lighthearted in a way. He was just telling jokes. Like, I don't know. It was just great. I I loved his lavender car, and I loved how his nail polish always matched his outfits and car. Yeah, I thought he was great.
Yeah, it's
He was really
interesting.
great.
As we assume, of course, we don't know that Vin Diesel has taken a lot more control of the stories and basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to take himself and the movies so seriously.
He does.
And like, I didn't really think it
Very
worked
earnest. Yeah.
that much. Like his story, yes, all right, he's going after his kid, which again, is just like the easiest thing to just be like, yeah, we buy in. You're not going to let your kid die. Like, all right. His portrayal of that is questionable. The one thing I said since 7, so 8, the last 8 and 9, what I always said about these movies was that Brian was the heart.
Yeah.
And Vin was just but Vin was
the straight guy.
Dom was the muscle.
Yeah.
And like the intimidator and maybe even the coordinator, but like Brian was the heart of these movies. And unfortunately, you know, they lost that for real.
Yeah.
And I think they've been really struggling to figure out who can take that mantle. And it turns out nobody can, because they've tried a few people. They tried Eastwood was like maybe he'll be the new Brian, and that didn't work. Cena was even kind of like he toes the line, and then in this one, it seemed like Vin was just trying to do both.
Yeah,
and it like he can't deliver that. He just can't.
He's just not.
He's got to be gruff, and when he's gruff,
actor for that. And also, I think a lot of times he's just like acting on a soundstage and not actually like. He's not method like Jeremy Strong. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like his like anger when like B's like in trouble. It just looks so fake. And also, I just felt like with Brie Larson, like it almost was like I think Brie Larson's a good actor. You love her. I think she's okay. Full disclosure, she's fine. But he even like made her into a bad actor. I was just kind of like, oh my God, what's wrong with these people? Did everyone forget how to act? Like, it was just insane. Like, no one was believable. I don't know. I just felt so like, is anyone really like upset here? Like, it just felt so ridiculous. But another thing I did want to say about Jason Momoa is that next to Dom is like super masculine, and like Jason Momoa is kind of that like lightheartedness, and I just liked that like duality, I guess.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good foil.
It was a nice change.
Yeah,
and what I was saying, I sidetracked myself. Be like, Vin obviously has control of all of this, and he plays it so seriously.
Yeah,
but he also was okay with what Momoa was doing. So like
because it didn't detract from him. Not like like when The Rock, it was kind of like, well, who needs Vin Diesel when you have The Rock? You know,
I guess maybe that, but like the fact that he just let it be as kind of silly, as he was, shows you that like he understands that they're not that serious. Yeah, but yet he still plays it so serious. It's odd.
Yeah.
But getting to Brie Larson, which you brought up,
and I.
So yeah, Brie Larson. I was excited when she showed up, when I saw that she was going to be in it. I really like Captain Marvel. And then like go watch Short Term 12 or Room, of course. She's like a very good actress. And I don't know what happened.
She was bad in this.
She was like pretty actively bad. I just think she didn't know what to do with this. And like, a
lot of people don't. Well, also, I think also because her scenes were with Vin Diesel, and I think she was just trying to match what he was doing. Sure. When like, could we also just say this is definitely like 3 movies in one? So we have Vin Diesel and his storyline with Jason Momoa. Then we have Tyrese, Ludacris, and whatever the hell they're doing. And then we have Lottie and Charlize. Letty. And Letty and Charlize Theron and their own movie. I mean, they all kind of intersect at points, but they're like, I don't know. It just was very strange.
I don't know why they made this decision. And we have a reviewer who called in, and he gives an actually interesting kind of take on them. So none of the cast is ever together. So Dom is by himself the whole time.
Yeah.
Letty and Charlize are in the same scene once. We are told they're in the same space, but obviously outside of that scene, they were not. Ludacris, Tyrese, Han, and I forget her character's name, but the woman from Game of Thrones and
Yeah,
all of
I don't
that.
remember.
They're separate. Jason Statham is barely in it, and then when he's in it, he's separate. Helen Mirren shows up for one thing, and Momoa is never in any scene with anybody.
No, he's not.
So like there is no point where him and Dom were together.
Yeah, definitely didn't need to be.
I don't think Momoa ever left LA.
Well, all Momoa did was like stand on top of buildings.
High places.
Yeah, on high places, and was just kind of like being that like arch villain, like laughing down at the people below. It was just like.
So that was a very odd choice.
Yeah, it was just very strange.
It seems like in part 2, they're all going to come together.
I mean, they better.
So I guess you give it the benefit of the doubt that they're making a 5-hour movie, and like if it's fine that if the first act they're not together.
I mean, it was clearly like
movie.
Scheduling issues,
and
maybe
budget.
COVID.
Like they had Brie Larson for 2 days, and they're like, let's bang it all out. But yeah, it was odd.
It was weird.
And similar to a movie we talked, the Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon movie.
Oh my God.
Where it's like they were just never together. So like, just like screaming family or I love, you know, in that case, it was like, I love you. It was like, no, you don't. You're not even in the.
Well, I think
together.
To me, that's also why the acting was so bad. It's just
most
because
of the time
like,
they're probably talking to a tennis ball.
Exactly. Like none of them are actually together. So like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then so the agency.
Let me bring up a different point. No, I'm just kidding.
I know we've been a bit critical, but we both really love this franchise. Like what Irma said, we will see them all. We've seen them all. We'll rewatch them again, probably at one point.
Yeah. Oh, I love them. I truly do.
If I didn't love this series, the agency would be inexcusable nonsense.
It was
I would
just
be
like
railing against.
The most bizarre exposition, the whole agency part, where it's just like giving us a rundown of like the past 9 movies. You don't walk into the 10th movie not knowing what happened.
Well, that they make it easy for the audience. Like you didn't have to catch back up on 8 and 9 to be fully caught up on 10 because they tell you it, which is fine. But so the agency just as a being is odd. So we had Kurt Russell as Mr. Nobody. And then like he was kind of gone. And then they had Eastwood, I think Scott Eastwood, kind of took over for him. And then they're telling us that Brie Larson is Eastwood's sister. So like they were all
really? I thought she was Mr. Nobody's daughter.
Yeah, that's the same, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
I thought like Eastwood was his son.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. So like they explain this hierarchy and then they get rid of that and they give it to the big muscle guy. And he was actually fine, I guess.
Yeah, he was fine.
He was given. But yeah, just like the fact that they're working for this weird secret agency, it's just so odd. And they didn't actually need it because this movie was about Momoa getting revenge on Dom. They weren't actually stopping a Charlize Theron. So like in the other ones, when Charlize Theron was threatening the world, and they're like, we need you guys. This was just like, I want to kill Dom. So like, it didn't have to be this big agency thing.
Well, it was like, so Momoa and the guy were working together.
Right. That's the big reveal.
Which didn't make any sense because it's like they weren't actually communicating. Like, it's like the guy was like, didn't know that Momoa was going to show up. You know what I mean?
Or did he?
I don't know.
I mean, the big scene was when they're in the back of the truck and Momoa attacks that. The whole truck flips. Vin actually saves the big guy's life by holding him against the wall with his foot. And like that could have easily killed that dude. But they're working together. So it doesn't really make sense. You got to add a twist, I guess.
I mean, none of it makes sense. Let's get that straight. But
even worse than all that, I think I would let that all go. The Room. When Brie Larson walks into that room with the big guy, sorry, maybe we should look up his character's name. No, I'm just going to keep calling him the big guy.
He's huge.
And it is just an abomination of CGI screens and a big cave. Like it
I don't know.
looked so bad. It looked worse than when like MasterCard commercials try and do like cool sci-fi. It looked so bad.
Yeah.
It was shocking. And then when Letty was in the prison and Bree comes to that also and walks through these like doors that like ripple open, it looked so bad. Like they just didn't. They've showed like in the previous 8 and 9 are kind of just fused together in my head. But like Statham was in jail, and that was like agency jail, and that was just a fairly normal jail. It was like more high tech. Like, what is this weird Batcave prison?
Yeah,
It's so
I don't
strange.
know. It was so weird. But it was in Antarctica.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Wait, then how did Bree get out of there?
I don't know. She flew out.
Wait, when she comes out of that thing, Bree gets her out of that thing, and then Letty and Charlize end up on a table together, and then they escape, and then they're upstairs, and they're in Antarctica. Is that all one space?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Where's Bree then? Or is Bree with them? They just didn't show her.
No, Bree left. She just came in, gave her a message, and left.
And left. Okay.
All right, should we go to our caller?
We have a call in. It's pre-recorded, so it's actually not a call in. Pre-recorded. I think we might start doing this a little more. It's something that we're playing with. But if we plan ahead well enough and know we'll be talking about a certain show or a certain movie, we might ask for your reactions and send them in as a voice memo to our email, and maybe you'll get on the show. So this is our first experiment with it. But it's safe to say that this lovely listener is a super fan. The biggest I've ever known.
Us.
Yeah, of us, of course, but also of the Fast franchise. So I think he'll breathe a little more positivity into this. And then I think we can get back to a little more positive after.
First of all, any review has to start and stop with Jason Momoa. Holy shit. I am not sure any actor has ever had as much fun being in a movie that Jason Momoa did making Fast X. That guy was having a blast the entire time, and me watching, I found myself grinning like a goddamn idiot every time he said something or did anything on screen. I would describe him as sort of like if a Disney villain was real life and little R-rated. Like, that's how just outlandish he is, and it works perfectly.
Yeah, better description than nicer.
The set piece in Rome was one of the better set pieces. It went on forever, at least like 20 minutes to a half hour. One of the best set pieces that the Fast franchise has ever produced.
Bold.
I like the trope in the beginning. First of all, they just played like 10 minutes of Fast 5 in the beginning, which I think every movie really should do. Just 5 random minutes from anywhere in Fast 5. It would improve any movie by tenfold. But I do like that they did that trope of like, oh, well, flashback, this guy was actually here the whole time. You just didn't see him. But the only reason it doesn't really work with Jason Momoa, because Jason Momoa is probably one of the most like noticeable people in the world. Like, you're not going to miss that guy in the background of anything. This was clearly an Infinity War Endgame style situation. Like we're setting up a lot of chess pieces that are going to be revealed in the next movie. One thing I will say is that, first of all, the sexual tension between Helen Mirren and Vin Diesel is palpable, and I'm amazed that they have not capitalized on that yet. But who knows? There's a whole movie left. Who knows if we're going to see that come to fruition. Further, I would say that the John Cena death was actually a little emotional. John Cena was probably the second best part of this movie. Definitely the biggest acting chops, the most comedic chops. Those were the funnest parts. The parts with Vin Diesel were fun. I was a little disappointed in the one part with Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron, where Brie Larson was like, oh, you want to get out of this black site prison? It's going to be hard to do, but I can get you out. And then they flash cut to Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron, both in an operating room. And I thought they were going to go like a face-off situation. And I would have been so pumped for that.
Screamed out face-off.
That didn't happen. Clearly, though, the stuff with Ludacris and Tyrese and Ramsey, that was the weakest part of, I think, everything. It kept going on and on. And God, Pete Davidson showed up. That kind of sucked. That kind of took me out of it. But hey, how do I finish this off? All right, yeah, but and obviously the big reveal at the end, not Gal Gadot, Giselle being alive. We all saw that coming. But the big reveal is that Black Adam flopped, so The Rock comes back to, suckle on the teat of Daddy Diesel and come back to who made him who he was. But I don't think it's going to be I don't think he's going to be a big part of part 2 of Fast X. I think they're also setting up a Hobbs and Shaw sequel because Jason Statham's out there doing his own thing. The Rock is out there doing his own thing. So I think there's going to be 2 sequels kind of bouncing off this. Anyway, I thought this movie was a clear step up from Fast 8 and Fast 9, but didn't touch the pantheon that is, Fast 5, 6, and 7. You're not going to get in there at all. Those are just almost perfect. Anyway, go see Fast X. I'm going to go see it again. I'm definitely. And I can't wait for Fast X Part 2.
Thank you, Kieran. Kieran Frail, everybody. A great review.
Yeah, really
through
great.
I thought he made some interesting points about it's not Endgame, but like an interesting take on them all being separate, building to what will be a cool moment finally when like Tyrese, Ludacris, Ramsey, Han, Letty eventually gets it. Like when they all get back together, similar, almost exactly to, I think, the submarine scene in 8 or 9, when like Letty finally shows up and like all the other cars show up on the ice. And it's like, hell yeah. Like we're all together again.
I am very much looking forward to when Han and Gal, what's her name in the movie? You just said it. I'm the worst.
Yeah,
when Han and Gal first see each other, I know that will be definitely a huge emotional moment, especially because she's supposed to be dead.
Right. That's kind of a funny thing that they already.
How are they going to explain this?
Yeah, they already did it with Letty in 4. So like they already opened up that nobody is actually dead.
Like John Cena essentially sacrifices himself in this movie.
Right.
And there's no way he's dead. I don't believe it. And also I just feel like that kind of takes away a little bit of the stakes, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think in a different scenario, like even in the MCU, I get a little, like if Iron Man were to come back, I would be pretty mad.
Well, I think if he comes back,
as Tony Stark, at least I know they open it up as like the multiverse. Yeah. Technically, he could come back, but as Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man comes back,
yeah, he's not coming back.
Stupid. We know he's not coming back because the actor himself, I think, is done. But I fully expect John Cena to be back. We didn't even mention John Cena until Kieran just did.
That's true.
I love Cena. He's my favorite wrestler turned actor. Even though Bautista threw his hat in the ring with Cabin in the Woods. Peacemaker, like he just has, there's something special about him when you give him the endearing, like Cena can carry the endearing stuff with the kid where Vin can't.
Yeah, exactly.
And then even when he did do the sacrifice, I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
like, no, not Cena. Even though like back of my head is like, all right, he'll be back next one.
Well, no, because my main issue with like him doing that was like, oh no, you're not going to be in the rest of the movie. Like we need you, Cena. Vin needs you.
Yeah, and then so as Kieran mentioned, the 2 big reveals at the end are that Gal is back somehow after falling to her death from an airplane into a pit of fire, a ball of fire. Okay,
and she looks fine.
Of course,
great.
I mean it's been a few years.
Sure.
She had all of her work done. And then the stinger is Momoa calling The Rock and saying, you were also involved in this. I'm coming after you. And I think also at first I was like, holy S. I can't believe The Rock agreed to come back or Vin agreed to have him back or whatever, since it was such like a public falling out. I think Kieran brings up a great point about everything that The Rock has tried to do without Vin has been pretty poorly received. So maybe he's like, all right, let's just do this. But he might be right also that he's not really going to be in part 2. He's going to be in Hobbs and Shaw 2. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I can't wait for the next one to come back or come out whenever that is. Probably in another like 2 years.
Yeah, hopefully they've been filming since it was always a part 1 and part 2. Like Avatar, the next one is not going to be another 10 years. It's coming out. Like they were filming them.
Yeah, I
So,
doubt they filmed these congruently.
hopefully they
though.
did though. They at least knew they were doing a part 2.
But like I just hope they really like hone in on the story. Like I know it's not about the
True,
story,
you want
but
some
I
notes
just
to
like
get through.
yeah, I don't know. Just like the family aspect of it has just gotten a bit too much.
Yeah, it's
I
a
think.
little too much. He definitely says family. Like there's going to be a college drinking game for sure. Of
Yeah.
a shot every time he says family, and the kids will be dead. I think I would have to maybe rewatch 8 and 9 and 10. Just be like, do all 3 of these kind of suck, even though we still love them? Or like Kieran said, he said this was a step forward. I don't know. Like the story itself, I'm not sure. But then I also remember thinking like the Charlize Theron story wasn't good either. Like
I didn't mind
the
her.
seeing eye or whatever they call it.
I like Charlize Theron. I think I just really like her.
I mean, the villains so far have been good. Like Momoa is also really
yeah.
good. The villain is the easy part to play, kind of.
Yeah.
You just have to be a badass. But yeah, we'll see what part 2 brings. Everybody's going to get together and kick some Momoa ass. Or if this is like any of the other Fast movies, somehow Momoa will turn good and then he'll just be in the rest of them
He'll
as a
just
good guy.
be a part of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, right. And Helen Mirren. Oof.
Helen Mirren. That's very
Yes.
fun. All right. So that is it for us this week. Also coming up is June 1st. We're going to be doing our second ever Excitometer, listing everything that's coming out in June and how excited we are for that. So look out for that coming in the next day or two, or it'll be out tomorrow. And then next week, another big one. Thankfully, TV slows down a little bit. We just obviously did all of these finales. But then next week is a huge movie. I think it might be, I don't know if anything's beaten Mario at this point, which is odd, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is coming out to huge hype after how excited everyone was for the first one. We'll be talking about that. The Boogeyman comes out, which is a Stephen King adaptation of one of more recent Stephen King books. And it's the director of The Host, which was an early COVID horror movie, which actually got me back on Shudder. I heard how good Host was, and so I got Shudder again, and it was really good. It's just all on computers. It's just really interesting to see what he can do with obviously a much bigger movie. And then Sophie Thatcher from young Nat from Yellow Jackets is in it, who I think is arguably the best of the young actresses. And then also The Idol starts on Sunday. So I'm definitely watching that too. I'm excited to see what the hell is going on with all this press. And then we're finally going to get to The Great. So if you see any of those, watch any of those 4, Across the Spider-Verse, The Boogeyman, The Idol, or The Great, and you have some thoughts, feel free to follow our lovely listener, Kieran, and send a little voice memo. Doesn't have to be as thorough, and email it to talkintent@gmail.com.
Thank you, Craig, for the production assistance. And thank you to John Welsh for intro and outro music.
Please subscribe so you know every time we post an episode. Follow us on all the socials at Talkintent. And again, email us any of your thoughts at talkintent@gmail.com. From our living room to yours, what do you want to watch?